Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's conversation with one of our speakers from the Women Thrive Summit. I'm so excited to have you here for today's conversation as we are talking about how to transition from soul sucking work to sharing your brilliance. And my guest today is Michele Parad. Hello, Michele. How are you?
Hi, Ramonda. I'm doing great. So nice to see you on here, and so nice to connect with your platform and everyone else that's listening. So yeah.
Good to see you. I'm excited about this conversation as especially as we're doing this on Friday when people may have had a long week and they're thinking, "Oh my goodness, that was a lot." So today's really about how to switch up your work and start sharing your brilliance so you don't have to work at a soul-sucking job that isn't lighting you up right now. And my guest today is Michelle Parad, who is an intuitive guide for conscious leaders, an international best-selling author, and a speaker. And she's also known for Your Brilliance Archetypes guides that is called Cell Method, a spiritual psychology, which has helped empower her clients to build businesses that align with their path towards self actualization. Michelle, welcome. And tell me a little bit more about how did you get started in doing this work?
Thank you so much. Yes, so it's been quite a interesting journey for sure, as many of us have had. Um, Really, the start of it was being at a soul sucking job myself. And on the outside, it looked very prestigious. I was at a company backed by Al Gore, and I got many opportunities to work with very starstruck people in the industry. And so, for anyone looking from the outside, it's like, why wouldn't you be so tremendously happy with where you are? But I just felt like I had some kind of calling that was more than the role I was given. And I felt that I couldn't really express all my gifts and all my multidimensionality inside of this environment. I felt like it was very narrowed as far as what I could and couldn't do. There was, specific structure in place, and potentially other people who might have been threatened by my grand ideas for advancing the company, and all of those things were not necessarily something that was in part of the culture. And so it got me on this path of thinking, and I think that really was after a slew of different environments. So I kept switching. I was never tired of sort of taking an adventure and going to the next company and seeing, okay, is it me? Is it the company culture? Like, what is going on here? Why can't I find my home, within the different organizations? So it was this process throughout and frankly, while I was kind of jumping from company to company, it did give me a lot of skill sets and a lot of understanding as well, as far as a company culture, and also what kind of leadership really sets the tone overall, and sets the possibility for success for the organization or not. So it was a very interesting training ground. But I, at one point, said, okay, maybe it's just that I need to evolve into creating something on my own. And that way I have a little bit more control over what I do and what I don't do. And so that really started my entrepreneurial journey. And besides having the business and marketing background, I also spent some time kind of on the side of my jobs, really in this magical place of healing and spirituality. And really, I think that stemmed from that, one place in time where I felt like, what's the purpose of life? And that really started my journey of trying to discover what else is out there. And it really was a catalyst for my own faith as well. Before that, I was pretty secular in my understanding, very analytical, very left-brained, as we were all trained for the most part. And throughout that journey, I unlocked some of my own intuitive gifts. And I realized there was a different way of operating as well. And I got a lot better and more efficient at operating and taking decisions and aligned actions that didn't require as much efforting, as much hard work. I just had this knowing, like, okay, turn left, turn right, and so I ended up cutting my workload in half and was really praised for the work I was doing. So over time, even being in these environments, I saw this evolution as I was tapping into the other sides of my brain. And I now offer that understanding and knowledge that I've kind of accumulated over time around the different healing modalities that I've learned, as far as how other people can also start to understand themselves better, understand how to tap into that intuitive side, come from a place of self-leadership, come from a place of not accepting things around you completely as face value. Like, this is okay, this is how it's always been, this is how I should operate. It's a process of starting to question everything around you. So that was the beginning of my journey. And transitioning from soul sucking work to selling your brilliance, there's like two phases to that as well. So there is like somebody maybe going from a job to the entrepreneurial space, but then there's this whole passageway where it's going from the beginning phases of building your business to a more evolved version of what that is. And sometimes the beginning phases of a business can feel also a little soul sucking if you haven't designed it correctly for yourself. If you haven't created it in a way that is really allowing your gifts to flourish, if you haven't built a team around you to enable you. And so there are some intricacies to designing that in the right way. Otherwise, it just becomes like your job before.
Yeah.
It's sometimes worse because, I know a lot of entrepreneurs, and I think it's somewhat part of the culture that, okay, you start your own business, you have to work 24/7, which, again, if you design it correctly, I think is a little bit of a myth. Yes, you have to work hard for sure, but you don't want to make it feel worse or the same level as where you came from, right? So that's where I also, very much went down that journey, discovered different things about myself that made my life in business, working for myself, lighter and better. And yeah, again, those discoveries, that's what I then teach and lay the path for others as well.
Beautiful, amazing. Yeah, it's quite true. When we start in this entrepreneurial journey, we get too overburdened with just trying to do everything ourselves and getting things off the ground, and it does require a lot of energy. But I think we always set out on this entrepreneurial journey to create freedom, to have that work-life balance. And when we start out, a lot of the times we don't do that. How do you create more work-life balance in your own life now that you're your own business founder and you work with clients?
Yeah. Well, I do think that there's a little bit of a myth around what balance means. I do think that we go through phases in our life, and some phases our work is the forefront, and that's what we're meant to be focused on. If you're doing your soul's work, then it doesn't feel like it is out of balance in some way. It's just that's what's coming into center stage for you, right? And the idea is to find the support system around you to enable that for yourself. Finding the people around you that can help you in all kinds of different odd ways. If from housing to getting someone to cook for you, for example, and or getting family support to
Yeah.
put in some of the effort that you would have otherwise, right? And then maybe at a different stage in your storyline, right, you are focused more on family, and then the work can take a little bit of the back burner. And those are the choices that we kind of have to make at
Yeah.
different stages of our journey,
Yeah.
right?
So
And
what what
so
kind of what kind of lights you up in your own journey?
yeah, that's a great question. Recently and this kind of plays into our multidimensionality, right? So there isn't, I think, just one purpose that we have. And I discovered recently that I have a great passion for dancing, which I had no idea that I loved so much. And it was just through a couple of different experiences that um, it just brought me so much joy. I didn't really care what it looked like in particular, but and so I think having some of so it's that and breath work and some of the other practices that I have that really make things just so much more beautiful and creative. And that's really where I get into more of a flow state, and I'm able to bring in some of that information and know-how into my business as well. So it's very much, I think, a necessity to have some of those pieces as well that you just do for the sake of doing them. There's the purpose is just to bring you the joy, right? And sometimes they have some side benefits, of course.
Yeah, for sure. I think again we forget, and certainly I'm guilty of that when life gets busy. I don't always take the time to do the things I love. Like even today, I went out near the beach and I thought the day is so beautiful. It feels like spring here right now, and I need to make that time to go outside and do the things that I love so much. Although I mean, I love my work, I do. But then there's the other side of the real life and things like that. So, how can people transition into sharing their brilliance? So they want to show up, they want to do something that they're passionate about, but perhaps some things are holding them back. So how do they get started in really shining their light in this world?
Yeah, it's a great question. So really what tends to happen is when we start our business, it can start from a shadow self, and it's not because we know it, are conscious of it in some way, but there's still layers that we have to peel about ourselves, some false beliefs that we might have about how we operate, how we show up, things like that, that need to be discovered. It's part of the process of, if you're a diamond, it's like it's a diamond in the rough. So you have to clean it up a little bit, right? It's a constant cleaning up and fine tuning. And it's part of the process is knowing that that's the journey, and knowing that as you do this kind of work, this shadow work, this subconscious work, your message becomes much more clear. It becomes much of a higher intelligence nature, because you become actually in some ways closer to your highest self. I know I'm going into the spiritual realm here, but the more you can clean off, the more pure and more authentic you become. And therefore, your message and what you're here to do becomes very, very clear as well. In between, there's a little bit of muddling, there's a little bit of uncovering, and as long as you know that that's the journey, then that's okay. And finding different clues, different guides, different people, again, to support you along the way can certainly help. The worst thing you can do is sort of be stuck in a place and sort of continue to do the Groundhog's Day of something that isn't necessarily working. Yeah.
And who do you help and how do you help them in life or business? Because you kind of work between the practical side of business, but also more the spiritual and energetic side. So tell me, who do you work with most part, or who do you support, and how do you tend to help them?
Yeah, so I work with conscious leaders, and I have a kind of archetype around them. They are multi-passionate, so they're probably have multiple businesses that they want to open. They are pretty ambitious from the perspective that they want to be a millionaire or even billionaire from their soul's work. And so they're not really afraid to like roll up their sleeves and and get to it. And they tend to be people who have been a little misunderstood, a little bit misfit, a bit of a rebel in the current realm that we live in, and that's a beautiful thing because they're here to create something new and magical that may not necessarily exist and is going to help form the new systems, the new society that we truly want to live in. So they will be bringing through, different innovation, different thought leadership that's really going to, I think, move the needle in changing us consciously and unconsciously and moving us forward. So they are really amazing people. Very they have a specific mission. Let's just put it that way. And I work with them to just really help them in different capacities. One is to shine a different light on them in different ways. One is to shine a light on them about what they actually don't perceive about themselves, but it's actually really their gifts. And they may not even be aware of it, but once someone actually says it to them, it's like all of a sudden they are seen and they feel like, wow, yeah, I am special in a way, right? And not, people can go through life not knowing how special they really are. And so we uncover what that is for them, and then we uncover a little bit about what's kind of in the way of them embodying that for themselves. And then it's a process of honing in on what the message is, what they're here to be known for, as well as how they can design what it is that they're here to do in the best possible way, without limiting themselves around what that could be. Because oftentimes we start out also with a smaller version of what we could actually be doing. So it's really shifting our imagination into something way bigger than we set out at the beginning.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. It's so important, I believe, to also work with mentors and guides and those who just able to see our greatness and reflect it back to us. Because a lot of times we have these great ideas, but sometimes don't even see our own greatness, and it just requires somebody else to really bring it out. So I love that you just share that. Well, for all of you watching right now, if you are enjoying this conversation, please leave a comment below. Let us know where you're watching this from, or maybe you're just catching this on replay. So put hashtag replay. I want to let you know that Michelle actually is going to be doing this talk around March, between March 18th to the 22nd at the Women Thrive Summit, which is our annual global women empowerment event that happens every single year. So this year you're in for an absolute treat. We've got more than 50 amazing speakers lined up for this event, and Michelle's going to be one of them. And she will be talking about how to transition from soul sucking work to sharing your brilliance. So what you're hearing today is just a scratching surface of what we're going to be talking about. And throughout this event, you were going to be talking about your purpose, mission, some soulful stuff that we're going to be covering, as well as very practical things around finances and business, marketing, visibility, leadership, and so much more. So there are free tickets for you to grab. So make sure you head over to womenthrivesummit.com, register for your spot. And of course, don't forget to save your spot for Michelle's talk as well. Michelle, what are you going to be talking about? I mean, we kind of touched a little bit on it, but why should people attend? What they're going to learn from your talk?
Sure. Well, we're going to dive into a couple of the modules, I would say, of my signature program, Sell Your Brilliance. And it's just going to give you really a taste of the different tools that you can even go off on your own to start to have a self-discovery process to understand, again, where's this cross-section between purpose and profit, and where can you find those clues in the different tools that are available to us. And so that's the beginning stage. And so then kind of go into, okay, how can you also, again, begin to start thinking and crafting what your message is overall. So we'll go into a little bit more detail, I would say, than
Yeah.
right here. But if that is something you want to do and you're looking to upgrade your business or yourself, or you're looking to pivot or rebrand, I think this would be really helpful for you to understand.
Beautiful. I love that. I think there's so much need for this, for entrepreneurs, as you say, both for those starting out and those who are changing, or even just reminders. I always love to go back to my strategy at least once or twice a year and just review, is everything that I'm sharing, that I have in my business, is still where I want it to be? Or, sometimes we need to revamp because things have moved on so much, or you have had so much personal growth that now your messaging does no longer fit with your growth, and that's quite possible as well.
Yes,
Uh,
we're ever
Mich-
evolving. So
yeah, we are constantly evolving, and that's the beauty of this journey. And I think entrepreneurship is one of the most amazing personal development journeys, that you just evolve, and everything else has to evolve with you. Michelle, how can people get in touch with you if they feel inspired and they want to follow up and get to know you a little bit more? What's the best way to connect with you?
sure, you can certainly go into my website, michelleparad.com. I have a slew of different free resources that you can go and explore and look in a little bit into my world. And you can find me often on Instagram as well at michelle.parad.
Beautiful. Amazing. So do make sure you head over to michelleparra.com, check out all the amazing resources she has. And if you have enjoyed this conversation, make sure you drop her a DM. Just let her know you were here. And, it's always nice to just start those conversations. And you never know where one conversation could lead to. Any last parting thoughts before we close out for today, Michelle?
Oh, I'm just so excited to be part of this. I have to say, it's just been wonderful meeting everybody that's been part of this summit, and that's become a little bit of my support system as well. And so, yeah, I do encourage everyone to find those business besties. Along the journey too, and it just makes it all that more fun. So
Yeah, for sure. Having a community around you and having other people to play with, I think I don't know, I really enjoy seeing that within our community. And when people get involved in the Women Thrive summits, the whole energy is just magical. So I definitely invite as many of you to be there and make those connections and be part of beautiful celebration that we're going to have.
yes, absolutely.
Thanks, Michelle. It was so lovely to see you today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And to all of you watching, thank you for tuning in and staying up to this point. If you have enjoyed this conversation, make sure you share it to some of your social media friends. You never know who might be needing this conversation. And you might be in that soul sucking job right now and thinking, I just need light. I just need answers. And this could be an answer to somebody's prayers. So please go ahead and make sure you share this. And of course, we've got so many amazing speakers lined up for the next coming few weeks. So do tune into our platforms, check out other interviews with our speakers, get to know them. And of course, it's going to be so much more amazing when you attend the summit that you already know the speakers who we have lined up. So I hope you enjoy this, and we look forward to seeing you on another interview. Take care for now. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Michelle.